Larry Evans, he spent 31 years with the Fort St. John Fire Department. He served as a city councillor for the last 4 years, and through this role is involved in the Winter City's winter committees and events. Please help us welcome Larry, who will talk about winter celebrations in Fort St. John.
Well, you've heard from the professionals and the staff. Now you're going to hear from the politician. Gotta love the politicians, of course. Yeah, I got a joke about the politicians I got to tell here. Politician passed away, wound up in the funeral home. The funeral director and his assistant are looking at this gentleman. And funeral director says, "This is strange." He says, "This gentleman is smiling, and he was struck by lightning. I wonder why that is." Assistant says, "Oh, he probably thought he was getting his picture taken." Anyway, it's all downhill from here. So we're 18,000 people. That's within the city. You drop down a little bit and you'll see that we're also Northern BC's largest regional service center. We call on another 60,000 people. So that's pretty much our audience when we're going to host anything within Fort St. John. And our celebrations, while they're based in Fort St. John, are also all around the city. We utilize lakes out of Fort St. John for ice fishing, and we have the Whiskey Jack Cross Country Ski Club that have excellent trails, and they're open to everybody. But anyway, we're 18,000 plus, and our average age is, it says up there 29.6. We rounded off to 30. I said we are the largest regional service center. We're a mile 47 on the famed Alaska Highway. And of course, on the Alaska Highway, we have all these visitors that go by. We certainly don't entertain all 300,000 of them, as much as we'd like to, but we try and get as many off the highway as we can, both winter and summer. We host a variety of winter celebrations that brings together both local and visitors, and they enjoy the unique northern winters up in Fort St. John. And I love winter. I've learned to love my enemies, and winter, for when I was a child growing up, was sometimes an enemy because we walked a lot, and up in Fort St. John it used to get really cold. It still does once in a while. But right now I just want to talk about the communities in bloom, and you're wondering why I'm talking about communities in bloom, because this is a winter thing, but we participate in the communities in bloom, and they also have a winter program as Winter Lights celebration. So what we did to sort of keep everybody on the right track, because we were finding that the same committee that was running the Winter Lights was also running the Communities in Bloom. So we rebranded ourselves and called ourselves the Celebrate Fort St. John. We recognize that each seasonal program focused on key areas. So the secret to our success was the people. This is the most important part of this whole organization. You have to bring people together. Now, that's just not like going out willy-nilly and gathering people up and saying, okay, this is what you're going to do. We decided to go to key stakeholders, which are the groups within Fort St. John, and every group has something to bring to the table. We have people like the North Peace Horticultural Society, the Fort St. John Association for Community Living, the North Peace Historical Society, the Whiskey Jack Ski Club that I mentioned, School District number 60, the Hospital Foundation. All these people send a member to the table to set up our festivals, be them winter or summer. Some of our winter activities, which I'll be talking about, includes the Arts Council L's Christmas. The Arts Council is an umbrella group for 43 other groups. They have representatives from 43 groups, and there's everybody there. They have a tree auction, Christmas tree auction. I'm sure people have heard of that before. That brings out a lot of people. We have a gala auction. We have Raising Our Voices Christmas concert, and we have holiday movies throughout the Christmas season featuring all the old movies. We have a Santa Claus parade. That's my favorite because I marshal that. That is growing by leaps and bounds to include anywhere between 50 to 60 floats every year. And that really brings the people out. It's a lot of work by a lot of people. I have quite a crew behind me, but we do get it up and running, and it's a one-way trip from the north side of town down to our our park, where we have a big, everybody descends on the park. We give out free hot dogs and hot chocolate, and we have a monstrous big light up. So we always get a big tree. We have a big tree that we decorate, and then we count down and light it up. And that's really the kickoff to the Christmas season. And the shopping season too, because stores are encouraged to stay open late that night. And we have anywhere up to 10,000 people in that park, believe it or not. And they come from Dawson, they come from Chetwynd, they come from all over the area when they know that it's going on. So that brings people out. We have the museum Christmas tea, different things from the different people that we've brought to the table, and we all try and get it together so that it's spread out over the, at least December and January. And I'll talk about January in a minute. The best deck contest, of course. We have gingerbread house decorating. We have something up there that is put on by the Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. They had, I believe it was, and maybe Robert can correct me here, 300 different nativity scenes made out of anything you can imagine. Chocolate, I remember that one, stone, you'd have to see it to believe it. But we only, and they've been doing this for a number of years, but nobody really knew about it. So somebody found out and they were invited to the table, and now that's part of the winter celebrations, is that nativity scene, and that brings out a lot of people. Now we come to my favorite part, the signature winter event, High on Ice. It's held every year in January. It includes some things, snow sculpturing, toboggan races, children activities in the park, which I'll talk about in a minute, live entertainment, sleigh rides, an ice fishing derby, an over-the-line ball tournament, and it just continues on. We have a muckluck curling bonspiel, and if I could just pause for a moment here, the muckluck rendezvous was I guess the forerunner of the High on Ice. That was a winter celebration we started back in '74, but like anything, if it doesn't change or become more interesting, it has a life shelf, or a shelf life, and it kind of died out, and for a while we didn't have anything, and then we started to build up again. And one of the things that we do have is this High on Ice Festival. It's recognized by NICA, National Ice Carving Association. That's a world organization. We had, I believe it was 16 teams last year, and 8 of them were from overseas, Russia, Japan, China. We had American ones. I'd have to go through them, but we had a swack of them, and there's a lot of work involved in getting this one off the ground, let me tell you. There are some dangers too, and I want to just discuss that briefly. I don't know if anybody has ever heard the word Chinook. Chinook, well, it's a derivative of a First Nations word meaning snow eater. And it also eats ice too. So we have to be really prepared. And in years past, some of the things we did, the first year that the Chinook hit, right in the middle of this snow and ice sculpturing, we wrapped them in Typar. Because you wind up doing things that you have no idea you're going to do, until it actually happens. The next year, we sweet-talked the Muckluck Rendezvous Committee, who were putting on the curling bonspiel, to donate 2 rinks of ice to us, and that's where we had the actual ice carving for the professionals, was inside the curling rink, because it seems that it don't matter how much we wish and hope and pray, we get a Chinook somewhere. This past year, everything was all done and ready to go and ready to be everybody showed up and it started to melt. But it still got off the ground, and it involves a lot of people, and a lot of people come out for it. And with all the other peripheral things that we get going, we managed to probably entertain over the period of a week 10,000 people. Not so many out-of-towners as we'd like, but we decided that maybe we should concentrate on the people in town, and if we get any people from out of town, then that's sort of a bonus thing. It does cost money, but one of the things that we did last year was build a nice slide for the children, to get the children involved, because while we have little ice sculpturing and that, they're not all that interested in that. They like action things. And besides that, we won't let them use the chainsaws. So what we did was we commissioned one of the team and I believe it was the, I think it was the Russians. It was the Russians.